we are going to study about consumer and producer surplus. Let us start. What is consumer surplus? Consumer surplus is the difference between that maximum amount a consumer is willing to pay for a good or service than the actual market price they pay. It represents the value that consumer receive from purchasing a product at a price lower than their willingness to pay. For example, let's say we are willing to pay $50 for a new video game, but the price is $40. Your consumer surplus will be $10. $50 minus $40, representing the value you receive from buying the good at a game at a lower price than you are willing to pay. Consumer surplus is a key concept in economics as it measures the benefit that consumer receive from the market transaction. It often used to evaluate the market efficiency and the impact of price change on consumer welfare. Now, next question arises, what is welfare economics? Welfare economics is a branch of economics that uses the microeconomics technique to evaluate the welfare of society and the distribution of resources and opportunities among its members. Some of the main focus of welfare economics include behavioral welfare economics, public economics, cost economics, social welfare function, efficiency, equity. Welfare economics is rooted in the belief that business should contribute to both the growth of their own value and the development of local society. Next is willingness to pay. Willingness to pay is the maximum amount a consumer is willing to pay for a goods or service. It represents the highest price a consumer is willing to accept for a particular product or service. It based on their perceived value, needs and budget constraints. Willingness to pay is a crucial concept in microeconomics and it helps in business which determine the price strategy. What is price strategy? Setting the price that balance the revenue goal with consumer affordability. Demand analysis, understanding how changes in price affect consumer behavior. Product development, creating products that meet consumer needs and willingness to pay. Market segmentation, identifying consumer group with different willingness to pay level. Willingness to pay can be influenced by the various factors including income, preferences, substitute goods, complementary goods, brand loyalty, and quality prescription. By understanding willingness to pay, business can make informed decisions to maximize revenue and customer satisfaction. Now, we will study about demand schedule. Demand schedule and demand curve. Demand schedule is a table or a tabular presentation that shows the relationship between the price of a goods or the service and the quality demanded by consumer. It lists various price level and the corresponding quantities that consumer are willing and able to purchase at each price point. The demand schedule is a useful tool for business and economists to analyze the demand for a product, to determine the optical price, to determine the predict sales, and to understand the consumer behavior. It is important to note that the demand schedule is typically represented graphically as a demand curve which show the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Now, this is the example of the demand schedule. Now this is the demand curve. What is demand curve? A demand curve is a graphical representation of the relationship between the price of a goods or service and the quantity demanded by the consumers. It shows how much a product or a service consumer are willing and able to buy at different price level. The demand curve typically slopes downward from left to right, indicating that as the price increase, the quantity decrease. As the price decrease, the quantity demanded increase. The demand curve can be linear, non-linear, inelastic. The demand curve is a fundamental concept in economics, and it helps business and economists to analyze the consumer behavior, to determine the optical prices, to predict sale, and to understanding the market dynamic. By analyzing the demand curve, business can make informed decisions about pricing, production, and marketing strategy to maximize revenue and profitability. By using a demand curve, how we can measure the consumer surplus? Consumer surplus can measure using the demand curve by calculating the area between the demand curve and the market price. How? The first step here to identify the market price, which we denote from P, and the corresponding quantity, which we denote from Q on the demand curve. Draw the horizontal line and the market price to represent the consumer willingness to pay. Calculate the area under the curve along with horizontal line up to point Q. Then the area represents the consumer surplus. The consumer surplus is a triangular area between the demand curve, the market price, and the quantity demanded. It represents the value that consumer receive from purchasing the goods or the service and a price at a lower price than their willingness to pay. By measuring consumer surplus, business and policy maker can evaluate the welfare impact of the price changes, taxes, or the subsidy on consumer. Now the question arises that how a lower price raise consumer surplus. There are the many ways by which the lower price can raise the consumer surplus. Number first is demand increase. When the price fall, more consumers are willing to buy the product, leading it to increase the quantity demanded. Consumer surplus expands. As the price fall, the area under the demand curve represent the consumer surplus increase, indicating a rise in consumer welfare. Willingness to pay exceed the market price. At the lower price, consumers are getting a better deal as they are willing to pay more, represented by the demand curve, but actually pay less the market price. Increased surplus value. The increased consumer surplus represent the additional value that consumer receive from the lower price. By lowering the price, business can increase consumer surplus, leading to the higher sale, consumer satisfaction, and market share. However, it is important to note that the impact of profit depends on the specific circumstances and the elasticity of demand. Now the next question arises that what does consumer surplus measure? अब consumer surplus क्या measure करता है? Consumer surplus measures the difference between the maximum amount of consumer are willing to pay of a good or service. Their willingness to pay represent the demand curve, the actual market price they pay. In other words, we can say that consumer surplus represent the value that consumer receive from purchasing a goods or the service at a price lower than their willingness to pay. It measures the saving or the gain that consumer enjoy due to the difference between their willingness to pay and the market price. Consumer surplus can be thought as a measure of the value of the good deal that consumer get, the benefit of buying at a lower than their willingness to pay, the surplus value of utility that consumer derive from the purchase. By measuring the surplus, business and policymaker can evaluate the impact of changes, taxes or subsidies on consumer welfare and make informed decisions to maximize consumer value and satisfaction. Now, what is producer surplus? Producer surplus is the difference between the minimum price that producers are willing to accept for a good or the service. Their willingness to sell represent the surplus curve. The actual market price they receive, it represents the profit or surplus value that producer receive from the following. Their product at a price higher than their willingness to sell. Producer surplus measure the benefit that a producer derive from selling at a price higher than their minimum acceptable price. Graphically, producer surplus is the area above the supply curve and below the market price. It represents the extra revenue from the producer received due to difference between their willingness to sell and the market price. Producer surplus can be thought of as a measure of the profit or gain that a producer make, the value of the goods sell that producer get, surplus revenue that the producer derive from the sale. By measuring producer surplus, business and policymaker can evaluate the impact of the price change, taxes or subsidies on producer profitability and make informed decision to maximize producer efficiency and economic efficiency. So this is the possibility seller. Now we will study about the supply schedule. A supply schedule is a table that shows the relationship between the price of a goods or the service and the quantity that the producer are willing and able to supply. It lists various price level and the corresponding quantities that producer are willing to supply at each point. The supply schedule is useful tool for the business and economists to analyze the supply of the market to determine the optimal price and quantity to produce, to predict the impact of price changes on supply, and to understand the behavior of the producer in the market. The supply schedule is typically represented graphically as a supply curve, which shows the positive relationship between the price and quantity supplied. Now we will study about supply curve. A supply curve is a graphical representation of the relationship between the price of a good or the service and the quantity that the producer are willing and able to supply. It shows how much of a product or the service producers are willing to supply at different price level. The supply curve typically slopes downward from left to right which indicate as the price increase, producers are willing to supply more. As the price decrease, producers are willing to supply less. The curve can be linear, non-linear, elastic, or inelastic. The supply curve is a fundamental concept in economics, and it helps business and economists to analyze the supply side of the market to determine the optimal price and quantity to produce, to predict the impact of the price change on supply, to understand the behavior of producers in the market. By analyzing the supply curve, business can make informed decisions about production, pricing, and investment. A strategy to maximize profit and efficiency. By using the supply curve, how we can measure producer surplus. Producer surplus can be measured using the supply curve by calculating the area between the supply curve and the market price. To identify the market price and the corresponding quantity supplied on the supply curve, we have to draw a horizontal line and the market price to represent the producer willingness to sell. We have to calculate the area above the supply curve below the horizontal line up to point Q. This area represents the producer surplus. The producer surplus is triangular area between the supply curve, the market price, and the quantity supplied. It represents the profit or the surplus value that producers receive from selling their product at a price higher than their willingness to sell. By measuring producer surplus, business and policymakers can evaluate the impact of the price changes or taxes, subsidies, or producer profitability and make informed decision to maximize producer surplus on. The question arises that how the higher price raise producer surplus. The higher price raise producer surplus in the following way: increase revenue. At a higher price, producer receive more revenue for each unit sold. Increase profit. The higher price lead to a higher profit margin as the cost of production remain the same. Increase willingness to supply. The higher price inefficient producer to supply more as it become more profitable. Or we can say that it encourage the producer to supply more, that they can buy maximum profit or they can gain maximum profit. Expansion of the supplier. The area between the supplier curve and the market price increase. It represents the increased profit of surplus value that the producer receive. Graphically, the higher price raise, the horizontal line represented the market price, increasing the area above the supply curve and below the market price. This expanded area represents the increased producer surplus. By raising the price, producer can increase revenue and profit, encourage the production and supply, expand their surplus value of profit. However, it is important to note that the impact on producer surplus is depend on the elasticity of supply and elasticity of demand as well as the market factor. Next is market efficiency. Market efficiency refers to the idea that financial market reflect all availability information and price adjust quickly to new information, make it impossible to consistently achieve return in excess on the market average. In other words, it is impossible to consistently beat the market. There are three forms of market efficiency: work from efficiency. The past stock prices and return are reflected in the current stock prices and cannot be used to predict future price on return. Semi-strong form efficiency: all publicity available information is related in current stock prices but not necessarily all private information. Strong form efficiency: all information public or private is reflect in current stock prices. Market efficiency has important implication for the investor and financial analysis, including no free lunch. It is impossible to consistently achieve return in excess of the market average without taking on additional risk. Diversification: spreading investment across different assets can reduce risk and increase return. Fundamental analysis: analyzing a company financial statement and other information may not be useful in predicting stock prices. Technical analysis: studying past price movement may not be useful in predicting future price. While efficiency is widely accepted concept, there are also challenges and debate surrounding its validity, and some researchers have found evidence of market inefficiency. Now the question arises, what is efficiency? Efficiency refers to the optimal use of resources to achieve a goal or output with minimal waste, expense on efforts. It involves maximizing output while minimizing input. It results in a cost efficient and productive process. Efficiency can be applied on the various concepts. Example, economic efficiency: maximizing economic output while minimizing cost and resource. Energy efficiency: using energy saving technology to reduce energy consumption. Operational efficiency: streamlining the process of workflow to reduce the waste and improve productivity. Market efficiency: reflecting all available information in the market price, making it possible to consistently receive to achieve return in the excess of the market average. Resource efficiency: optimizing the use of the resources such as material, water, or labor. Time efficiency: managing time efficiency to achieve more in less time. Consumptional efficiency: optimizing consumer and processes to reduce processing time and resources. Efficiency is often measured using metrics such as productivity, cost efficiency, return on investment, output input ratio, cycle time, and throughput. By achieving efficiency, individual and organizational can reduce cost, increase productivity, enhance competitiveness, improve quality, reduce waste, increase consumer satisfaction. Efficiency is about achieving more or less, optimizing resources, and streamlining the process to achieve greater productivity and success. Next, what is equality? Now, when the word we say equality, you think that when all the people are counted equally, it is known as equality. But here there is another concept. Equality is a state of being equal in status, rights, opportunities, and treatments. It means that individual or group have a privilege, immunities, and freedom and treated without discrimination on the basis of social equality, economic equality, political equality, legal equality, gender equality, and racial equality. Equality is important because it promotes the fairness and justice. It encourages diversity and inclusion. It fosters the social stability. It supports human dignity and well-being. It encourages economic growth and development. The concept of equality is linked to the idea of justice, fairness, and human rights. In a fundamental principle, many philosophies, religion, and political system and they encourage international human rights. Now, how the equality in the market equilibrium? In the context of economics, equality refers to the state of the market equilibrium where the supply of a goods or the service is equal to demand for it. This means that the equality of the goods or the services that producers are willing to supply equals to the quantity that consumers are willing to buy. In a state, market equilibrium is when there is market demand is equal to the supply, quantity supplied is equal to quantity demanded, and the price is equal to price equilibrium. At this equilibrium price, there is no tendency for the price to change as the quantity supplied is equal to the quantity demanded. This equilibrium price and the quantity are determined by intersection of the supply and demand curve. Market equilibrium is characterized by no surplus of shortage, no tendency for the price to change, no optimal allocation of resources, efficiency on resources, maximum satisfaction for consumer and producer. Equality is the market equilibrium means that the market has reached a state of the balance where the forces of supply and demand are equal, resulting in an optimal output for the all market participants. Now we will study about market efficiency. Market efficiency refer to the idea of that financial market which reflect all availability of information and price adjust quickly to the new information, make it impossible to consequently achieve the result in excess of the market average. In other words, it is impossible to consistently beat the market. There are three forms of market efficiency. Weak form efficiency. Past stock prices and return are reflected in the current stock prices and cannot be used to predict future prices or return. Semi-strong efficiency. All publicity available information is reflected in current stock price but not necessarily all private information. Strong form efficiency. All information, public or private, is reflected in current stock prices. Market efficiency has important implication for investor and financial analysis, including no free lunch. It is impossible to consequently achieve return in excess of the market average without taking on additional risk. Diversification. Spreading information across different assets can reduce risk and increase return. Fundamental analysis. Analyzing a company financial statement and other information may not be useful in predicting our stock prices. Technical analysis is studying past price movement. It may not be useful in predicting future price. While market efficiency is widely accepted concept, there are also challenges and debates surrounding it validating, and some researchers have found evidence of the market in efficiency. Now the question arises, how we can evaluate the market equilibrium. To evaluate the market equilibrium, we have to follow the following step. The first step is we have to identify the market. Define the market you want to evaluate, including the product, location and time period. Determining the supply and demand curve. Estimating the supply and demand curve using the data or the statistical technique. Find the equilibrium price and quantity. Graphically or mathematically, we have to find out the point where the supply and demand curve intersect, which represent the equilibrium price and quantity. We have to check the equilibrium condition, supply and equal demand. We have to verify that the quantity supplied equal to the quantity demanded on the equilibrium price. There is no tendency for the price to change. Ensure that there is no upward or downward pressure on the price, indicating the stability. Analyze the market efficiency. Test for the weak form efficiency. Check if past prices and returns are reflected in the current prices. Test for the semi-strong form efficiency. We have to check it publicly available information is reflected in current prices. Evaluate the market performance. Calculate the market metrics, compute metrics like market share, revenue and profit margin. Compare to the benchmark. Compare market performance to industry average, competitors or historical trends. Monitor and adjust. Continuously monitor the market and adjust your analysis as new data become available. Some common tools used to evaluate the market equilibrium include supply and demand curve, market share analysis, revenue and profit margin analysis, price elasticity analysis, statistical model, example, regression analysis, market survey and consumer research. By the following steps, we can evaluate the market equilibrium and gain insight into the market dynamic, efficiency and performance. Should there is the market in the organs? The question is whether there should be the market in organ is a complex conventional issue. Here are some argument against we are going to do. Argument for a market organ. Increase supply. A market in organ could increase the supply of organ available for transplantation, potentially saving more lives. Compensation for the donors. Allowing organ sale could provide compensation for donors who often incur significant expenses and risk during the donation process. Efficient allocation. A market in organ could lead to make more efficient allocation of organs, as price would reflect the scarcity and the value of the organ. Reduce black market. A legal market in organ could reduce the illegal black market in organs, which often involve exploitation and vulnerable individual. Argument against a market in organs are ethical concern. Many people believe that buying and selling is unethical, as it commodities human body parts and may exploit voluntary individual. Inequity. A market organ could exacerbate existing health disabilities, as only those who can afford to pay for organ may have access to them. Safety concern. Allowing organ sales could lead to unsafe practices such as inadequate screening and testing of the donor and organs. Human dignity. Some argue that testing organ as commodities violate human dignity and principle of gift giving and altruism the underlying organ donation. Current status: the buying and selling of the organ is illegal and is most of the countries including the United States under the National Organ Transplantation Act 1984. However, some countries like Iran have implemented the compensated organ donation system where the donator are paid for their organ. While a market in organ could potentially increase the supply of the organ and provide compensation for the donor, it also raises the significant ethical, equity, safety, and dignity concern. This debate in surrounding organ market is complex and continuous, and any consideration of such a market would require careful evaluation of these issues. Now we will take one example related to kidney, because kidney problem is we can say that more famous as compared to the other parts. John, a 30-year-old man, is need a kidney transplant. His friend is a match and willing to donate one kidney. Sarah is a student and has a significant education expenses. She is willing to donate her kidney, but only if she can receive compensation for her expenses and lost wages during the recovery point. Period. In a market for the kidney, John or his insurance company could offer to pay Sarah a certain amount of money, that is rupees $50,000. This payment would compensate Sarah for her expenses and lost wages and would also recognize the value of her organ. However, this type of transaction is currently illegal in most countries, including, I have said earlier, United States under the National Organ Transplant Act 1984. This act prohibits the buying and selling of the organ and allow for the altruistic donation. It's important to note that the example which we have discussed is a simplified version of a complex issue, and there are many ethical and legal and moral considerations surrounding organ market. Now, what is market failure and market efficiency? Market efficiency and market failure are two concepts in the economics that describe the performance of a market. Market efficiency refers to a market ability to allocate resources in a way that maximize economic value in an effective, efficient market. Price reflect all availability of information. Resources are allocated optimally. There are no opportunity for profit without taking on additional risk. Types of market efficiency is weak form efficiency. Past stock price and return are reflected in current prices. Semi-strong form efficiency, all publicity available information is reflected in current prices. Strong form efficiency, all information, public or the private, is reflected in current price. Market failure occurs when a market fails to allocate resource efficiently, leading to a loss of economic value. This can happen due to externalities, positive or the negative effect of on third party not accounted for in an market prices. Information, unequal access to information among the market participants, public goods and services that are non-reliable and non-executable. Market power, a single buyer or seller has significant influence over the price. Incomplete market that has lack sufficient information or participants. Example of market failure include environmental pollution, lack of access, education, public health care, monopoly, unstable financial market. Market efficiency describe a market that allocate resource optimally, while market failure describe a market that failed to do learning to a loss of economic.